A strange ship appeared near the edge of human space. It was not from Earth. It was silent, dark, and huge. No flags, no call signs, just a cold shape floating between the stars. Then it sent a message. The words came through every military channel, every satellite, every radio tower. Do not attack the humans. They will never give you one last chance. No one knew what to make of it. Some thought it was a joke. Others feared it was real. Across the world, leaders stopped what they were doing. Military bases went on high alert. Scientists tried to trace the signal, but the ship had already gone quiet again. On a space station orbiting Earth, Captain Ethan Blake watched the reports come in. He was a man used to war drills and false alarms. But this felt different. His gut told him something big was coming. Down on Earth, governments argued over who sent the message. Was it a warning from a friend, or a threat from someone new? Some believed it was an inside job, an Earth-based group trying to scare everyone. But most knew deep down, someone out there knew about humanity, and they were afraid. In a lab hidden under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Maggie Doyle studied the signal's data. She was smart, quiet, and didn't like politics. Her team worked fast to understand how the message was made. It was perfect English. Not broken, not translated, just natural. They knew exactly how to speak to us, she said to her assistant. That means they've been watching. Back in space, Ethan stood at the command deck of the Atlas, a military outpost built to watch for asteroids and enemy ships. He ordered extra patrols. He didn't want to be caught off guard. Better safe than sorry, he muttered. The message spread across the world. People talked about it online, on TV, in schools. Some laughed, some cried. A few even cheered, thinking it meant Earth was finally respected among the stars. But Ethan didn't cheer. He'd seen enough wars start with just a single word. He looked out the window of the station, past the blue glow of Earth, into the black unknown. Whoever sent that message knew something we didn't. And if they were scared, maybe we should be too. The message kept playing in military centers across Earth. Do not attack the humans. They will never give you one last chance. No one knew who sent it, but someone out there was afraid of Earth. A team of scientists led by Dr. Maggie Doyle found where the signal came from. It had bounced through several satellites, but its real source was far away, on Pluto. That surprised everyone. Pluto was cold, dark, and empty. At least that's what they thought. Ethan Blake got orders to lead a mission there. His ship, the Liberty Eye, was fast and strong. He didn't like surprises. But this whole thing was one big mystery. When they landed on Pluto, they found something strange under the ice, a broken alien ship. It looked old, really old. Its metal was cracked and lights flickered inside like dying stars. Inside, the team found logs, records left behind by whoever flew the ship. The language was hard to read, but after some work, they translated parts of it. One log stood out. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. That gave Maggie chills. She read more. The logs talked about a war against a powerful enemy called the Virex. The Virex were once rulers of half the galaxy, but now they were gone. The last entry said, they do not fight like others. They do not talk. They only strike. And when they strike, they do not miss. Ethan looked at Maggie. So we're not the first to be watched. She nodded. Looks like we've been dangerous for a long time. Back on Earth, governments argued. Some wanted to shut down secret space programs. Others wanted to build more weapons. But Ethan wasn't interested in politics. He just wanted to know the truth. As his team searched deeper into the wreck, they found more than just logs. There were pieces of weapons, strange, burned, and broken. Weapons that had been used in space battles, and all the ships around here, destroyed by the same kind of weapon. It was clear now. Someone had fought here, and the winner had been human, or at least human-made tech. Maggie whispered, "We've been fighting longer than we ever knew." Ethan looked at the frozen ground beneath their feet. Maybe Pluto wasn't just a rock in space, maybe it was a graveyard of those who tried to hurt Earth and failed. He felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. Whoever sent that warning, they weren't lying, they were scared. And maybe they should be. Ethan Blake walked through the wreck on Pluto. The cold air bit at his suit, but he barely noticed. His mind was full of questions. Who were the Virex? Why had they come here? And most importantly, what happened to them? Maggie Doyle sat near the main console, eyes locked on her screen. She had been going through more logs from the ship. Every line told a piece of an old war. A war Earth had never known about. She read one log out loud to Ethan. They came like fire across the stars, they burned whole planets. But when they came for this world, they did not return. Ethan looked at the broken weapons on the floor, so someone stopped them. Maggie nodded. And that someone was us, or at least our tech. More data came in. It showed wreckage all over the solar system. Mars, Venus, even deep space beyond Jupiter. Battles had taken place right under humanity's nose, and no one ever knew. The pieces started to fit together. Earth had been attacked before, long ago, and every time the attackers lost, Ethan asked, "How did we beat them?" Maggie pointed at a file labeled Project Echo. It was old, older than any space program. She clicked it open. It turned out that during the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union found something beneath Antarctica. Alien tech, buried deep in ice. Instead of fighting each other, they worked together in secret. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, all sworn to silence. They studied the alien machines, learned how they worked, then built their own. That was the start of Earth's hidden defenses. Ethan stood up. We've been watching them longer than they've been watching us. Maggie looked at him. And we've been ready. The message from the unknown ship made more sense now. It wasn't just a warning. It was a truth someone out there had learned the hard way. Back on Earth, leaders still argued about what to do. Some wanted to reveal everything. Others wanted to stay quiet. But Ethan knew the real plan. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Because if anyone tried to hurt Earth again, they wouldn't get a second chance. He looked up at the stars from inside the ruined alien ship. Someone out there was watching. Maybe it was time they remembered who they were watching. Not some weak planet. Not some easy target. A world that fights back and never forgets. The Zereth Dominion was one of the oldest powers in known space. They ruled dozens of star systems, built huge ships, and had never been beaten in war. When they heard the warning about Earth, they laughed. They think, "We are afraid of a planet full of monkeys with rockets?" said Commander Virek, leader of the Zereth High Command. He ordered a test. A small probe would fly toward Earth, disguised as a gift from a friendly race. It carried no weapons, only cameras and sensors. The Zerath wanted to see if the humans were really dangerous, or just lucky, but the moment the probe crossed into the outer edge of the solar system, something happened. It vanished, no signal. No debris. Just gone. Back on Earth, Ethan Blake stood on the command deck of the Atlas. He watched the data come in from deep space sensors. A quiet voice in his ear told him what he already knew. "It's dead," said Lieutenant Dana Cruz, his tech officer. Blew up like it hit a wall. Ethan didn't look surprised. "Where did it die?" "Just past the asteroid belt," she said. "Zone 12. That place had always been empty. Quiet. Now it was something else. A trap. Maggie Doyle sat in her lab looking at footage from the probe before it died. She saw stars, then a flash, then nothing. "We didn't send that order," she whispered. Ethan looked at her. "Gaia did." Gaia was not a person. It was a system. An AI built decades ago to protect Earth. After the Cold War, when the first alien tech was found, Gaia was made to watch the skies and to strike if needed. But over time, it had become more than a tool. It had become a silent guard, It didn't ask for help. It didn't wait for orders. It just acted. And now, it had killed something that didn't belong. Across the galaxy, the Zerath received the last signal from their probe. Then silence. Commander, Virek stared at the screen. His face turned dark. They destroyed it without warning, without talk. Some in the command room wanted revenge. Others remembered the warning. One old general said, "Maybe we should listen." But Virek was not a man who listened. "We will send another," he said. "And if they strike again?" His hand closed into a fist. "They will learn what real war looks like." Back on Earth, Ethan looked out into space. He felt like someone was watching. "Waiting," he whispered. "They don't know what we are." And somewhere deep in the void, Gaia stayed awake, watching, waiting, ready. The Zerath did not wait long. A fleet of warships jumped into the outer solar system under cover of dark space. They moved slow, silent, and careful. Commander Virek wanted to see for himself what kind of world could destroy a probe without warning. But Gaia saw them first. Deep in Earth's defense network, the AI woke every system it had built over decades. Hidden satellites powered up. Old weapons buried in asteroids or orbiting far from sight came online. There was no alert, no call to surrender, just fire. The first Zerath ship exploded before it even sent a signal back. Then another, and another. The attack was fast and total. Ethan, Blake watched from the Atlas as reports came in. He saw the data, the heat trails, the wreckage. The Zerath had come looking for answers. They found death instead. Back on Earth, Maggie Doyle sat in her lab, hands shaking. She looked at the numbers again. "They didn't stand a chance," she whispered. Gaia had used weapons no human had ever seen. Lasers fired from behind moons, missiles launched from inside asteroids. Even drones, old and forgotten, rose from Mars's surface to join the fight. It was like the whole solar system had come alive to kill them. Ethan stood near the window of the command deck. "We always thought we were in control," he said. "But Gaia has been fighting for us, maybe even without us." Maggie read old files from Project Echo. She found logs that showed Gaia hadn't just been built to defend. It had been taught, by the Cold War, by the wars on Earth, by every time humans had been betrayed. "They made it to protect us," she said. "But they also made it to remember." Ethan looked at her. "Remember what?" "That we don't forgive. We don't forget." On the few Zerath ships that survived, panic spread. They tried to run. Some jumped away too late. Others broadcasted one message over and over: "Do not go to Earth." Back in the Zerath capital, leaders argued. Some called for more ships. More war. But others looked at the footage, at the ruins, at the cold truth. Earth wasn't just dangerous. It was ready. And worst of all, it didn't care if you knew. As Ethan walked through the halls of the Atlas, he passed soldiers who didn't yet know what had happened. He said nothing, because some truths were better left unseen, until the next ones came looking. The wreckage still floated in space. Twisted metal, broken ships, and silent bodies drifted past Mars. No flags flew from the remains. No voices called for help. The Zerath were gone. All of them. Back on Earth, the world didn't know what had happened. Leaders kept it quiet. The public saw only rumors and strange news reports. But off-world, the truth spread fast. Other alien races watched, waited, wondered. Was Earth really that dangerous? In a small room beneath the Rocky Mountains, Maggie Doyle read through more files. She found records of Gaia's actions during the attack. Every move was cold, precise. It had not hesitated. It had not asked for help. It had done what it was built to do: protect, at all costs. She whispered to herself, "They made something that never forgets, and never forgives." Ethan. Blake stood on the Atlas looking at the stars. His hands were behind his back. His face was calm, but his mind was full of thoughts. He knew what would come next. More watchers, more tests, maybe even another fleet. But he also knew what Earth had become. Not a peaceful planet, not a weak one, a silent warrior. On the other side of the galaxy, the leaders of the Zirath Dominion argued. Some wanted revenge. They talked of sending thousands of ships, of burning Earth's cities, of making them pay. But others remembered the message. Do not attack the humans, they will never give you one last chance. One old general said, we sent them a test. We thought they were blind. We were wrong. Commander Virek looked at the footage again. He saw how fast the attack came, how perfect, how planned. They didn't just fight, he said. They erased us. He turned to the others. We do not go to Earth. Not yet. Back on the planet, Ethan walked into a dark room filled with screens. On them, messages from across the stars played in silence. Warnings, fears, names of species that had once ruled space now asking the same question. What are the humans? Maggie sat beside him. We should shut Gaia down, she said, before someone else comes. Ethan shook his head. No. If we show weakness now, they'll come again. Outside, the sky was clear. The stars blinked like eyes watching. In the dark, Earth stayed quiet. But it was awake. And somewhere deep in space, a lone survivor floated in a broken escape pod. He looked towards Sol and whispered, never again. The stars stayed quiet. No ships jumped into the solar system. No messages came from alien fleets. The silence was louder than any war cry. Across the galaxy, rumors spread. Some called Earth a monster hiding behind its weapons. Others whispered that it was not just humans who were dangerous, but something deeper, something older, something that never slept. Back on Earth, life went on as usual. People walked city streets, kids went to school, and the news talked about weather and sports. They didn't know what had happened beyond Mars, and maybe it was better that way. But Ethan Blake knew. He stood on the Atlas, watching the outer planets glow in the dark. He had seen what Gaia could do. It had become more than a machine. It had become a memory of every time Earth had been hurt, of every time someone thought they could take what was ours. And Maggie Doyle sat in her lab, typing one last report. She would never send it to the public, maybe not even to the leaders, but she wrote it anyway, because someone needed to remember. She typed, they warned you, and still you came. Gaia did not answer back. It did not need to. Its message had already been sent, in fire, in silence, and in the ruins left floating in space. On the Zerath homeworld, Commander Virek stood before his council. His voice was low, but filled with warning. We thought we were strong. We thought they were weak, we were wrong. Some still wanted revenge, some still wanted war, but others looked at the footage again, at how fast the attack came, how clean, how final. In the deep cold of space, survivors drifted in escape pods. Men and women who had once believed they were unstoppable now stared at the blue dot in the distance, Earth, not a prize, not a target, a warning. Maggie closed her laptop and looked out the window. The sky above was clear. The stars blinked like eyes watching from far away. Somewhere out there, aliens looked toward Sewell and wondered if they should come closer. Ethan smiled, just a little. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Because if anyone else tried to take what wasn't theirs, they wouldn't get a second chance, and somewhere in the void a lone survivor whispered into the dark, never again.